Good afternoon, Facebook and YouTube. How you doing? I am Kendrick, the sports guy, and welcome to a live stream. We're talking all Dallas Cowboys. We're going to talk a little bit of other NFL teams, but we're talking training camp, and I'm going to get some insight from a guy that was there firsthand. So all my Cowboys fans, make sure you tune into this live stream so you can get your Cowboys info. We're going to talk a little bit of other NFL news as well, but mainly the Dallas Cowboys. But before we do that, make sure you come in, like, subscribe to the channel. That is Kendrick Sports Hustle, as well as TFG Sports Media on YouTube. Doesn't cost you a dime. Make sure you like and follow them both as well on Facebook. And you can also follow me on TikTok at Kendrick Henderson 51 and on Instagram at Kendrick1969. So again, it's the weekend. We got some preseason games kicking off tonight. We had some last night. We'll give you some scores on that, which will be scrolling at the bottom of the ticker. But we're going to bring in my man, my brother, my good brother, Michael E. Coleman. From, you know where he's from. He's from Lawrence, Kansas, the other places in the United States, because he's been all over the place. But he's in KC right now, but he's joining me live to talk a little bit about these Dallas Cowboys. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Back home in a little bit. It's funny, it's the Airbnb that we have is in the neighborhood I used to live in when I worked here. So it's I'm a half a block from my old crib, man.
Oh, wow. So I know that's kind of bringing back some old memories, huh?
Oh, yeah. It's bringing back some memories. Real good. Real good.
Real good. Well, we're glad you made it safe back to, you was in California for roughly 9 days. You stayed out there, hung out a little bit, then you came back, picked up the missus, and y'all loaded up the truck, and that didn't go to Beverly. Y'all went to Kansas City.
That's about right. That's about right. That's about right.
Yeah. So again, if you don't know, this is my good brother Michael Coleman. He is the sports director at KLTV, the ABC in the ABC affiliate in Tyler, Texas. Now he was out in Oxnard covering his 25th Dallas Cowboys training camp. Would you say?
Probably total career wise, yeah. I did it in Austin, and of course the early days at Channel 7, and just kind of resumed where they were 8-9 years ago now. So yeah, man, it's the one camp I've covered. Chiefs camps, I've covered Giants and Jets camps again because that's where I was working. But Cowboys, I've covered them more than anybody in my career.
Right. Okay. Let me ask you this: this is the second year under Brian Schottenheimer. Was this a different tone the beginning of this camp, in your opinion, compared to last year?
Oh, I think the guys know what is expected from them under this guy. He's not the new guy anymore. He had to put his system in last year. I know one of the things that was annoying to him a year ago were players getting into fights. And I mean, there's more than one occasion, multiple occasions. And he would talk about it on his podium at the presser. And he said, that's a sign of not being disciplined. And I got to get to the bottom of that. And then one day, I'm talking last year. Then one day, another fight broke out. He said, "You know what? Practice is over. Let's start running." And they ran the rest of the way. About 12 to 15 more minutes of practice was done with running. Hasn't been the case this year. Now, two players I'm not going to say his name correctly, but two players got into a scuffle, which involved Terrence Steele, offensive lineman.
Terrence Steele,
and
right.
One of them was told to leave practice. And Schottenheimer's point is, you throw a swing in the game, you're going to get ejected. So we're applying the rules of the game to practice. You can't hit people, So I think in terms of him knowing what he wants and the culture he wants to build, I think they're buying into it. And I think partly because the Jones family is buying into it.
Yeah. So and I actually remember that last year when they got into them fights and he decided that's it, he's going to make a run. And that kind of takes you back to the high school days. Michael, we just lost you. You may have just got a phone call. We not seeing. There you go. Okay. Yeah. I remember when that happened last year when he killed, ended practice and made them run. So I get it. You want to set that tone early because this team was penalized quite a bit last season, wasn't it, Mike?
They were, and they gave up. I believe they gave up the most points last year on defense, like something like 511 points or
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
they did it in
So
team history. Yeah.
there, there's some things he needs to hammer out, and I think it's progression. I think it's coming all into fruition for him. You know, I mean, other than the suicide of Nealon,
Mm-hmm.
there that's just life. There hasn't been the off-season distraction for them going into camp. I mean,
Yeah.
it's business as usual. It's business as it hasn't not been as usual. But it's all, and that's been a couple of years. They're a straight team, man. They got some good character on that team, and I think Schottenheimer knows how to assemble his guys into going after that carrot, so to speak.
Yeah, now let's talk about the first two, their top draft picks. Obviously, Caleb Downs, who they took at number 12, I believe, and Malachi Lawrence, the edge rusher they took out of South Florida. Mike, you were there. You know, obviously the first couple of days it was just pretty much shorts and shirts and all that, but you got to see a couple of padded practices. Your thoughts on both Caleb Downs as well as Malachi Lawrence?
Well, let's go with Malachi Lawrence. Uh, he's he. People question him getting chosen in the first round, but when you're drafting, you go for what fits your team, not what everybody else says.
Right.
And so, I think he still has some rough edges around him, but he's willing to learn, as he has said. So wherever my shortcomings are, I'm going to fix it because this is my first NFL camp. And that's what sometimes a lot of people don't understand. They're ready to call somebody a bust. Like, dude, camp's only 3 days old. How are they a bust? That kind of thing.
Right.
But I think now, when it comes to Caleb Downs, it's a different story because he's ahead of the game. He's a student of the game. As he says, I tried to be a student of the game. The guy went to Alabama. The guy got drafted out of Ohio State. You're going to learn something being at those two institutions,
Right.
And he got a lot. He's been getting a lot of praise, and he's been getting a lot of scrutiny, obviously, because he was the first pick for them, number 12, as you mentioned, back in April. But even Schottenheimer says, the guy doesn't make the same mistake twice, and so it's so for them, that's a process of seeing him rebound from a shortcoming on a particular play. I know in drills, he's really strong, real astute. He and Pickens, they've had some nice little one-on-ones. He's learning. He's learning a lot from the likes of Pickens and CeeDee Lamb because of where they are and their stature in this point of their career. So he's the new guy, and he's absorbing everything that's going on, as are the other guys. But for instance, I know tomorrow, he's not playing tomorrow.
Caleb Downs isn't playing tomorrow night.
He is not playing tomorrow. They're not going to play him. I saw.
Okay.
So, and guess who else not playing? Other starters. Now, he hasn't been proclaimed a starter, but there are starters who aren't playing, and you got to know he's going to crack that starting lineup. And and Schottenheimer during training camp had even alluded to the fact, we got to figure out how many plays is he going to get during preseason. And at that time he said he may not play in our first preseason game because it gives us a chance to get some reps on some other guys. So I just think I mean, the guy is so versatile, and he can play strong safety, he can play outside linebacker. I mean, that's what they have on their hands, and I think he handled all the attention. Because the two guys I talk about are he and the defensive coordinator, Christian Parker. They're getting all the love.
They're getting all the all eyes on them for sure. Yeah.
All eyes on them. So and he played at two strong programs, so I don't think the media crush is overwhelming to him at all. So he comes as advertised. Downs does.
Yeah, now he has a great football name, obviously, Caleb Downs. He had to be a defensive player or play football. I was looking at some video of him matched up in the slot with Kevontae Turpin. I just might, size-wise, not that it matters, Downs doesn't look like he's very big. Am I wrong by assessing that?
I think I haven't seen what he's listed at, but I think because Turpin is
Turpin is
what
not.
five.
He's not very
He's not
big.
big, right?
Yeah.
I think he's 6'1". I think.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I have a roster in front of me, but he is able to anticipate. Now I know he's learning a lot from Turpin because Turpin has gotten the best of it, which is and that's what
Right.
you want because it's like when you're in college when you're doing scout team against one another, you are facing some guys who are going to be in the pros. So your game is going to be you're going to try to make your game as strong because this guy here I got to go up against him, and he's all American. So I can learn from this guy. And
Mm-hmm.
someone had asked, for instance, Guyton
Yeah.
and Smith, Tyler Smith. He was
Mm-hmm.
talking about the good sessions he was having against defensive linemen, and he and Guyton. And the question was asked, well, when you're engaging with that person across from you, do you ask him, hey, is this play working for me as I try to dominate you? And his point
Right.
was, no, I don't try to get a grade from who I'm butting heads with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in charge of what I think works for me, and I
Yeah.
think that's the whole idea. I mean, you could. I mean, now I think it's different with players of the same position. I can guarantee you, probably, Pickens has said to CD, hey, when you're making this route and you're making that cut, what
Yeah.
works for you? I
Right.
can see receivers, I can see players of the same
Yeah. But
position
same position.
doing that.
Yeah. Doing that. But right. Right.
But you're not going to give away any trade secrets going against the guy that's opposite you because you're trying to maintain your dominance or
Right.
your uh, your strength
Right.
over that person and make that other person just figure it out. Now, if you want to volunteer, say, yo, man, whenever I'm doing this, here's what you
Yeah.
need to be doing. Now,
Yeah, you
I
yeah,
can.
on the flip side of that, Mike, you're right. But I could also see with this being a team, with them being teammates, he could give him insight that defensive tackle or that edge rusher could tell him
Yeah,
offensive lineman, say, hey, when you see an edge, do this, or try to do a swim
right.
move, you move your feet
Yeah.
like that. So I could kind of see it from both
And,
ways too.
and, and that conversation probably will come up during film.
Yeah,
You're
right,
able to
right,
see it on
right,
tape. I say film, it's on tape or whatever it's on now. Hit
right.
pause right there. So helping each other out is in that
Yeah,
respect. So yeah, yeah.
right.
But training camp is competitive. You're trying to beat your
Hmm.
man across from you like he's somebody you're gonna play in the regular season. When you get down to that 53 man or whatever schedule, roster wise, now you're trading with each other. But you know what? I tell you what, man, and let's go back to Parker. He's a trash talker. Um, he has an association with Texas A&M. He's
Okay.
won a Super Bowl with Philly. He was with
Yeah.
Denver. He's never
Right.
been a defensive coordinator, but he has been in a position where he's been to coach more than one position. Like he wasn't
Hmm.
like a specific coach for this. He probably had more time in the secondary.
Hmm.
But someone asked him the question about, is it new to you to be in charge of multiple groups? He's like, because now you're the DC. And he's like, no,
Hmm.
at other places I've been, maybe I was in charge of two different groups or three different groups. So it's nothing for me to be able to oversee a group of guys because I've done it before. Larger scale now because he has a
Yeah.
staff. They let him go out and
Right.
get his own staff.
Oh,
And that's pretty
okay.
cool too.
Oh yeah, well,
So
that's interesting that Jerry let him do that because just gauging what I remember, he tended to like to get the coaches for those
yeah,
coordinators. He tended, to,
I
you know what
think
I'm saying? Yeah.
no. I think going along with what you're saying, I think Jerry's kind of toned himself down a little bit. He's
Hmm.
not as bodacious, um, braggadocio and all that. I mean, he said some things that I said, wow, Jerry wouldn't have said that 3 years ago. You know, I like, for instance, he kept getting pressed about the Max Crosby trade that
Oh,
didn't happen.
that didn't happen. Hmm.
And he kept getting pressed about that by a particular reporter. And the term she used, why did you walk away from the trade after it didn't happen with the Ravens? He paused for a good while. And he goes, we didn't walk away from it. And then at some point in the conversation, when it's going back and forth, he says, we're borderline getting close to tampering. And I don't want
Mm,
that to happen. I don't want the
yeah,
league. I don't want the
right.
league to
To-
misinterpret what's going on with this conversation. So I just want to leave it at that. She
I
tried to engage again, and he's like, no, we're through talking about it. Yeah.
yeah. Probably about 5, 10 years ago, he probably would have just went on not a
Yeah.
tirade, but he would have definitely talked about it. So I guess he's
He,
kind of I guess he's policing himself a little bit when it comes to some of his
yeah,
sound bites. Would you
yeah,
say?
yeah. And,
Okay.
and I wouldn't say he's gloating about the Micah Parsons
Oh,
situation,
I would say he is. I read his
but I
comments.
think, well, I think I mean, at least he hadn't verbalized. He probably did write
Yeah,
something in since I've been
yeah,
gone. But
yeah.
it's kind of the business he was standing on when it happened.
Mm,
It's added now, but because when Stephen Jones talked about why they and this is since I've been home, since I've been away from camp, I've been
right,
continuing coverage, obviously.
right.
Stephen Jones had talked about leadership with Quinnen Williams, leadership and other things
Yeah, I saw that
that
sign. I saw what
right,
Stephen Jones said. Yeah.
right,
Mm-hmm.
they fall in line with what they want. Now, what they didn't say last year was the opposite. He's not providing this. He's not doing that. They didn't do that, but now they're in a position to say, "Here's why we're doing this." And also, they're learning to pay key players early. That's
Yeah.
a lesson. I
That
mean,
that's
these
what
old guys didn't.
we've been preaching that in the media for how many years, Mike? How
Yeah,
they have
yeah, yeah.
waited, they have waited and had to eventually overpay for a lot of these
And I think,
guys. You
I think
know,
he's been in his own mind. He's probably been burnt. He's like, you know what? I need to go about this different. Because Jerry's the kind of guy that, especially when it comes to the media, he's not going to listen to the media. He barely listens to Jimmy Johnson if he did at all.
yeah.
He's his own man, and I think that's one of the things he's out to put on display that I make the decision. But we know he,
Mm,
which is fine. It doesn't make you a weak person because you have help. That's good. You
right.
can do that. So yeah.
Now, yeah, now back to Christian Parker, because again, this has been, that's been the talk ever since the Cowboys hired him. Uh they got this new scheme. They're going to a 3-4, I believe. Just watching the days that you've been out there, Mike, far as defensively, what is your thoughts on the 3-4 scheme for this defense? And do they have the right personnel to run that scheme? And do you think Christian Parker is going to be that dude?
Well, I'll let them decide if they have the right person at that scheme. They could have
Okay.
an undersized. They could have an undersized person in a position, but the explosiveness picks up on the lack of
Okay.
size. So there's a reason why you do
Right.
that. What I could tell was you could tell with the OTAs and the mini camp really were strong for what Christian Parker wanted to do. Because one of the things that was being touted was how the guys do their assignments. And that was, like they're still learning it. But I read a while back, I think we talked about it on one of your shows. Parker would give his guys a pop quiz. He would know who knows exactly what they're doing and why they have to do it. So guys started coming into meetings with their tablets and doing their own study before class, if you will, began. So one thing you can say about this defense, even during, I don't know if you've seen the clip of Darren Woodson. I guess he got a chance to sit in a secondary meeting with
Oh,
Parker,
did he? Okay, no, I didn't get to see that. Okay.
and he said we didn't even communicate that much in our day. He
Mm,
walked away impressed how that whole layout and how that whole process has been laid out by Parker. So you take it from a guy like him, they must be doing something right.
yeah.
So we'll just once they get into some real competition. Now they had a guy who got 3 interceptions against the Rams in their scrimmage, which they did not allow a camera to shoot. By the way,
Yeah. I know Christian Parker is not wanting all that stuff out. Yeah, I read that. Which I get it. I
yeah.
understand. But okay. But what was you saying, Mike? They had 3
No,
INTs.
this guy had, and the funny thing is, when I was listening to the commentary, they're like, "We haven't said his name once this whole year, or this whole camp."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, we haven't even done a feature on this guy. I think he's number 47. But
Mm-hmm.
he was making the right moves, making the right reading judgment in practice, and picked off. And I don't know if it was Stafford, but picked off the Rams quarterback three times. Wasn't Downs, it wasn't Bland, it was this guy
Yeah.
who was like, well, who the hell is this guy? So I mean, I guess that shows you the depth that they have, because that's going to be important to them too. Who
Yeah.
can you bring off the bench to spell our guy, or if somebody gets injured? So the two things, like every other team needs in this league, is depth and healthiness to get to the
Mm-hmm.
playoffs.
You brought up a name that I was going to mention. You just flowed right into my transition because we hadn't really talked about him much because he's been hurt a lot, especially after he got paid. Deron Bland.
Yeah.
What is he looking like? Is he
Well,
100% healthy now? Because he's been up and down. He's been out the lineup for the last 2 to 3 years.
he says he is. He says the injury that I've had, I can't have it anymore. And I don't know what he meant by that, but I think he was just saying I am more healthy now than I was before this injury. Because off and on for 2 years, he's as you said, we got his money. Things kind of went south for him, but he's out there. Schottenheimer is really high on him, picking up where he left off, and being a leader to the young guys and that kind of stuff. So no, he sounded really assured of himself, not cocky, just confident, and answered all the questions with the believability that what he's saying to us is what he really feels. Sometimes
Now,
those guys will tell you stuff, but they don't believe it.
right, gotcha. Now, on the flip side, again, we've been talking mostly defense, obviously, because that was the Cowboys' Achilles heel last year. We don't even need to talk about how horrible they were. They were trash. Offensively, what is this team looking like offensively? Are they gonna? Does it look like they're gonna kind of keep that thing clicking like they did last year, putting up 27 points
Well,
per game, running the
a couple of
football? Yeah,
a
go
couple of
ahead.
times in a team session, the defense got the better of that offense. I ain't gonna
Mm,
lie, because you're like, wow, the offense had a heck of a day today. Yeah, because defense was in their butt, and
mm-hmm.
that speaks well for the defense.
Right.
Knowing that you pull it off against your number one, your quarterback, your starting quarterback. Dak threw those
Mm-hmm.
interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I saw some drops from CD Lamb because only someone said, "Wow, he just did that yesterday." So I think most of that is being in practice. It's kind of a drag and just
Mm-hmm.
not concentrating.
Yeah.
And they're not
Right.
game like situations, but optics are what they are. But that just shows you how far the defense has come along. And they even praise the defense for how they scrimmaged against the Rams, because because last year the Rams in the joint practice with them, they got the most of the Cowboys,
Mm-hmm.
and so general consensus is that's not the case a few days ago. So we'll see a lot Saturday night,
Right.
in terms of maybe not the quarterback starting wise, but Joe Milton. I'm sure Joe Milton's going to be the starting quarterback. You know,
Yeah.
and I think he's trying to.
So is
He
he the
continues
number?
on.
Is he number two? Is him over Sam
Well,
Howell? I'm assuming so.
he was last year. He was last year, but I think
Right.
right now the number two is wide open between he and Sam.
Oh, okay. Offensive line, is it looking like they got some cohesiveness? I know, they had some injuries a little bit last year, so they had to shuffle some people. But right now, as they stand, does the offensive line look like they're gonna be pretty strong, Mike? From what you can tell.
Just from what they were doing in practice, again, you're practicing against guys who are twos and threes.
Right.
I know that left tackle position is kind of like it's settled, but it's not settled because it's like Tyler Smith. Are you a tackle or are you a guard? You know, he's like I'm pretty sure Guyton Smith, I believe, or Guyton manning the other side. I got all the faith in the world in him. He said, but if I need to play the other position, I'm ready. I can go.
Right.
So that's probably the mentality all those offensive linemen have to have until they, again, until they see what goes on in a real game. Because I'm thinking if you have the same core of offensive linemen that you have for your run game with what's his name, Javonte Williams, I mean, at most you need is a tweak here and there. So, we'll see if that tweak takes place.
Okay. So Mike, your overall, again, you were there 9 days. You got to see a couple of padded practices. And we'll get to see some of these guys play tomorrow night. If you don't know, the Cowboys' first preseason game is tomorrow night on NFL Network. They are at the Seahawks at 7 p.m. So your overall thoughts coming away from there, what's your thoughts on this team? What do you see with them?
I think they're a playoff team. I think they're a playoff team. And I think it's because of their defense. I think they're more organized in everything they do now. And again, they gave up 511, penalized 2 years in a row, a whole lot. They got a guy now on the defensive side. We're going to fix this. As he put it, OTAs was your undergraduate, training camp is your master's. And that's what they're trying to do. So I'm gonna give them a playoff team as a wild card.
Okay. Any major injury? I mean, any injuries that you know of that thus far for the Cowboys? Nothing.
A couple of guys who are depth factors.
Okay.
But no hammies, no twisted ankles, no Achilles. Two key stars, but again, you got to have that depth. So you got to keep the twos and threes as healthy as the ones. But yeah, no, nothing really that's outrageous.
Okay, all right. Well, again, Mike, I appreciate you taking your time and chatting with your brother. And I know you get ready to when you get back, it's gonna be high school football, full throttle. So I know you taking some. When you back?
We come back Sunday. I'll be back Sunday. I'll be back on my show, kicking in my schedule, my football schedule Sunday night.
Okay.
And boom, off and rolling, man.
Okay.
All right, buddy.
I appreciate your time, Mike.
Soon, man.
Okay, brother.
Okay.
All right.
All right,
ladies and gentlemen. Again, that was my good brother Michael Coleman, KLTV sports director at the ABC affiliate in Tyler, Texas. Just giving his assessment of Dallas Cowboys. He covers the Cowboys a lot. He covers their training camps, been covering them for years. I actually worked with him as his video journalist some years back when we would go to Wichita Falls and San Antonio. So he was out there in Oxnard for 9 days. So he was kind of giving me his thoughts on what he saw with these Dallas Cowboys going into their second year under Brian Schottenheimer and their new defensive coordinator, Christian Parker, who all eyes is on him to see if he can fix that defense that was, again, pretty leaky last year. So, again, here's the Dallas Cowboys preseason schedule as you see scrolling in the ticker. If you are watching me on YouTube and on Facebook, they play tomorrow night. That is the Cowboys at the Super Bowl champ Seattle, 7 p.m. on NFL Network. Then the following Saturday, they are at the Arizona Cardinals at 9 p.m. on the NFL Network. And then Sunday, the 28th, they host the Saints, at 7 p.m. on ESPN Unlimited. Never heard of ESPN Unlimited. I don't know if that's some special app or some new channel, but again, just another way to get money out of sports fans where you got to have all these apps. So there you have it. So again, want to thank my good brother Michael for joining me. So that's our Cowboys talk for today. Make sure you keep it locked here to Kendrick Sports Hustle as well as TFG Sports Media for all your NFL coverage. You already know I'm going to be talking about Packers here in a bit. Speaking of which, the Packers played last night versus the Steelers preseason game. Who cares what the score is? They lost, but you got to get that work in. We had some other games that went on last night as well. The Bengals beat the Lions 16-14. Again, the Steelers over the Packers 28-9. The Colts and the Patriots tied at 13-13. The Cardinals over the Raiders at 27-14. They say Fernando Mendoza looked pretty good during that game. But again, it's just preseason. But anytime you can give rookie players reps and they look good, I mean, it's a win-win because it's all about reps and repetition. That's what it is against another team. And also the Chargers defeated the Texans 27-7, and the Titans defeated the 49ers 19-13. So those were some of the preseason NFL scores from last night. So again, thank you all. If you watch this later, make sure you like, subscribe, share this to all your social media platforms. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you subscribe to Kendrick Sports Hustle as well as TFG Sports Media on YouTube. Doesn't cost you a dime. Make sure you like and follow them both on Facebook as well. You can also follow me on Instagram at KDrick1969, and you can follow me on TikTok at Kendrick Henderson51. And before I get off of here, I have to wish a happy 12th trip around the sun to my beautiful granddaughter, Anila Mitchell, who I affectionately calls Doodlebug. My Doodlebug is in the 7th grade, and she turns 12 years old today. So she already know Pop loves you to infinity and beyond. I probably clip this and send it to you so it's something you can save. But you enjoy your 12th trip around the sun, Doodlebug. You know, you're always going to be the apple of my eye. My first granddaughter. And I got a grandson, too. He's going to be the other apple of my eye. I call him Champ. We call him Prince Q, and he is into everything because he is now walking. And he's going to be a year old in 2 weeks, by the way. His born day is August the 28th. So he's going to get his first trip around the sun. So, yes, he and his older sister born days are 2 weeks apart. Go figure. That's my daughter's problem. I don't have to deal with that. All I got to do is show up. She has to do all the planning. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. So again, you guys enjoy the rest of your Friday. Got NFL preseason games tonight as well as Saturday night. We'll be locked in on that. We'll come back and give some updates if any major stuff happens. And I hope you have a great weekend. And again, we will see you on the other side. And on the next live stream, I am out. Peace.